If you're going to hike the AT, anyone who tells you that the rocks are over once you leave Pennsylvania is an outright liar, and you can tell them to their face, that's a lie. Good morning, campers. As you can see, I survived the night. No bear incidents. No bears even tried to get into our bear food bags. The other camper who was here, who was tenting right there, she's already left. I was waiting for her to go so I could, as you saw there at the beginning, perform my morning constitution, as it were. That's one problem with camping at a stealth site. There's no privy. So you're on your own as far as that goes. Which reminds me of the line from The Big Chill. I think it was Jeff Goldblum's character who said, "That's what I love about the great outdoors. It's like one giant toilet." So, sorry for oversharing, but anyway, that's reality of life on the trail. So I'm just about ready to go. I got to break down the tent. Most of my stuff is packed up, and I'm just about ready to go. It's 20 after 8. I'll probably be out of here about 8:45. Headed into Branchville. 2.5 miles up the trail. Gonna have lunch at Jip's Tavern. They don't open until 11, so I'm gonna take my time hiking there and just probably hang out outside. Maybe I can jump on their Wi-Fi if there's no password. Maybe there'll be an outlet outside I can charge things up. Who knows? We'll see. Today it's looking like a pretty good day. It's sunny out, as you saw there. The sun is up. They're calling for showers or thunderstorms mainly after 5 p.m. I have to get 11.5 miles after having lunch in Branchville. There's about a 500 to 600 foot climb out of Branchville, as there often is. You know, once you're in a town, most of these towns are in gaps or valleys, so you got to climb back up to get up on the main ridge of the trail after you stop in a town. So a big climb after lunch, and then it's mostly ridgeline walking with a couple small ups and downs. I'm going to try to make it, as I said, 11.5 miles. That's the third shelter. The first shelter is only about 4 miles down the trail, and the second one is probably 9 miles down the trail from Branchville. And then the last one, the third one, is 11.5 miles. So I want to try to make it to that one, get a little bit farther distance, and save a little bit of hiking tomorrow. Make tomorrow's hike into Unionville a little shorter. So today, again, relatively easy hike into Branchville. The first mile and a half is mostly, level, small little bunny hills, and then it's downhill into Branchville. So, and it's nice. It's sunny. It's cool. It's not too cold. It's probably upper 50s right now, but it'll probably warm up. Tomorrow's supposed to be in the 80s. So. In any event, that's it. I'll stop rambling now and I'll go break down camp and I'll check in again from the trail. Okay, so it's only 9 o'clock, but it's already starting to feel warm and kind of steamy, a little bit muggy. Sun's out. Yesterday it was cloudy and foggy and chilly and damp all day. Never got above probably mid-50s until the end of the day. Here it is 9 a.m. and I'm already like, ooh, starting to warm up. Probably a sign of the rain that's coming. Cold front and warm front colliding. In any event, I figure I'll be in Branchville about 10, depending on this terrain. And then I'll just find a place to hang out for about an hour until Jip's Tavern opens at 11. I'm going to meet Ash for lunch. Hopefully we can eat relatively quickly. I'd like to get out of there by noon. Got to get to my intended shelter, the Richmond shelter. Want to get there by 5 if I can. That means I got to hike at a 2.3 mile an hour average pace. That's a lot to expect of myself. Not knowing what the terrain is like, especially with that first 500 or 600 foot climb right out of Branchville. That down there is Culver Lake. and it is to the east of Branchville, whereas Lake Kittatinny is kind of to the west or southwest of Branchville, so getting close. Okay, I just stopped at Jip's Tavern, which is right there. There's a sign on the door. It says it's closed for transfer of ownership. The only other option is down the Mountain House Tavern, which is just a 2 or 3 minute walk down the road, so that's where I'm going. Kind of bummed. I heard Jip's was good, but not happening today. So I'm just leaving the Mountain House Tavern Bar and Grill. Had lunch there, it was very good. Had a Beyond Burger with fries and a side salad and a beer. That was tasty. So, talk about a storm moving in. There was a tornado watch also till 7 p.m. tonight. So we're gonna see what happens there. I got to do a little bit of a road walk to the trailhead again. I don't know where I'm going to be sleeping tonight. Depends on the weather and how I'm feeling and what the trail's like, what kind of progress I make. So I'd like to get to the third shelter if I could. It's 11.5 miles. It's already 1:45. That's pushing it. I'd have to really be hauling, but I have two options. I can stop at the Mashipacong shelter, or I can push on to the Rutherford shelter. So we'll see how the day goes. Right now, I gotta cross this crazy road. I just crossed the road, leaving the Mountain House Tavern, and I wish I had this on video. As I was waiting to cross the road, I looked up the intersecting side street, and an animal starts running across the road. I'm like, wow, that's a big cat. And I'm like, oh wait, that's a fox. There's a black-footed or black-legged fox, or whatever they call them. So he's up ahead. He crossed up there, and this trail is gonna pretty much intercept where he was headed, so maybe I'll see him up the trail. I guess we'll find out here very shortly. Of course, he doesn't want anything to do with me, nor do I want anything to do with him, but that was kind of funny. It's the first fox I've seen on this hike. So I reached the turnoff for the Gren Anderson shelter. No, I'm not having a stroke. It's Gren, G-R-E-N, not Glenn Anderson, Gren Anderson shelter. I can't see it from the trail, so I'm not going to stop here. I got to make some miles. I got to get at least to the next shelter, which is another 6 miles. And if I'm feeling good and the trail isn't too bad and the weather's holding off by then, and I feel like I can make it in an hour, I'll head to that third shelter. But this is the first of 3. I'll either stop at the next one or I'll keep going. So we'll know in about 2.5, 3 hours what my decision is. Probably a little more than 3 miles, 3.5 miles from the next shelter, the Mashipacong shelter, where I was told by some other thru hikers going Sobo that there's a water cache there because there's no water source. So somebody left, jugs of water or something, so that's good to know if I need to stay there for tonight. It's 2:40. It's all going to come down to what time I get into the next shelter, what the terrain profile looks like between that shelter and the one past it, what the weather forecast is, look at the weather map, see what the radar is showing. I can tell the sun's gone now. It's getting a little bit windier, a little bit cooler. It's actually welcome because it was getting kind of muggy there. So we'll see how I'm feeling too. Here's an interesting surprise. This big old stone pavilion up here, up on the top of Sunrise Mountain. Little wooden benches, I guess, for observing the sunrise. So I'm guessing this must be east. Probably a beautiful spot to observe a sunrise. A little hazy out there. Boy, what a beautiful spot to stop and have a break, eat your lunch, just sit on those benches and look out over the valley below. That's really beautiful. I wasn't expecting that. I saw this structure. I said, oh my God, is that a shelter? Nope, it's just a viewing pavilion for the Sunrise Mountain. So it's kind of cool. Somebody built that. I don't know who would have funded that. Didn't say anything out that I could see. No placard or anything. Beautiful stone structure. Nice sturdy roof. Just there. People to sit and enjoy. Yep. I learned that yesterday when the Brink Road shelter was closed. Definitely bear activity in the area. That hiker I spent the night in camp with, she said she saw 2 bear within the first mile of her hike. 2 bear. I've been out here for 7 weeks, haven't seen one. She sees 2 in the first mile. I'm like, what? Anyway, gotta stay safe out here until I get well out of New Jersey. Okay, I just felt it starting to very faintly sprinkle. I'm still a good 3 miles, maybe a little bit more from the next shelter. At my current rate of speed, depending on the terrain, that's about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. Which means 4:30, 4:45. Oh boy. Yeah, it's starting to rain a little bit more. If this picks up anymore or lasts too long, I'll have to put my rain jacket on. And then I'll be staying at the next shelter. I'm not going to push on to the 3rd shelter, not if it's really raining. There's no sense of that. Hiking for another hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half in the rain. Okay, we'll see what happens here. Dry stone wall. Hope you're not getting tired of dry stone walls. Here's one we're going to walk right over. There it is to one side. There it is to the other side. Okay, it's 4:15. And I think I just heard a very, very faint, very, very distant rumble of thunder. I can't be sure until I hear another one. But I should be at the shelter within 30 minutes. This terrain is rockier than I expected. The people who said the rocks kind of stop after Culver Gap lied, basically. That's a lie. If you believe that the rocks stop, they don't stop. Sure, there's some nice stretches that are easier than others, but this stretch has been a little bit rockier than I expected, and it slowed me down a little bit more than I expected, so I don't think I'm going to be able to push on to that 3rd shelter. Just, with the weather, this terrain is just beating up my feet again. So, probably going to stay at the next shelter. I just passed some day hikers, and they confirmed that there's a cache of water there. Sounds like a 5-gallon jug. I hope there's still enough water for me when I get there. Because he said we passed 3 or 4 other hikers that were headed there. I'm like, oh boy, that's going to suck if all the water's been used up. So I hope they're being smart and rationing it. Because I'm going to need water when I get there. I only have a liter of water left right now. Okay, as you can see, I stopped putting on my raincoat. It started sprinkling, and I had the sensation that, oh, this is not just a little passing cloud spritz. This is the beginning of the rain that they're forecasting. And sure enough, it hasn't stopped yet. It hasn't started coming down real hard. It's just kind of sprinkling, and the trees are breaking up quite a bit. Luckily, I'm only 0.2 miles from the shelter, about 1,000 feet, 300 yards or so. So I should be there within 5 minutes. And then I'll be safe out of the rain. Hopefully there's room for me in the shelter, and hopefully there's water left. I need water. There's no water sources around here other than what's falling from the sky, and I don't have a good way to collect that. So, sight for sore eyes. Trail goes right by the shelter. Let's see how many people are here. I can see the blue jug on the table. Blue jug of water. Let's see what the situation is in there. How many people are in there? Oh boy. I don't really see any signs of life in there. Huh, maybe people pushed on. Well, I made it to the Mashipacong shelter. Much to my surprise, I am the only one here. I thought there would be 3 or 4 people here. So it's good and bad. It's good because I definitely have a spot, and I refilled my water. There's only about a liter or 2 left of water in there. So if anyone else shows up, I may have to share some of my water. But I don't think anyone else is going to show up. I could be wrong. I have mixed feelings. It's an old, tiny shelter, low ceiling. As you can see, it is built with stone. It's probably a mouse haven, but it's a good place to ride out the weather anyway. You know, with bear activity in New Jersey on the rise, I'd rather be with people, obviously. If a bear decides to sniff around here and I'm by myself, that's obviously not a good situation. So at least there's a bear box over there, so I can put all, in fact, I'll put my whole backpack in there. I'm putting everything in there. I will stay in here for the night, because it's just, you know, I don't want to set up my tent in the rain. So everything's going in the bear box. I am going to have to cook and eat in here, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to be very careful I don't get any crumbs around. I don't, you know, create a lot of smells, hopefully. And then I'll probably go to bed without brushing my teeth. Sorry to my dentist and periodontist, but, you know, I'd have to do it out in the rain, and that's just something else. That minty toothpaste smells, just something else that would attract animals, potentially. The other good thing about the rain is it will keep the smells down, so hopefully, you know, there won't be any scents in the air. If this rain keeps up throughout the night, the scents will be dissipated by the rain, and I won't have any problems with bears. Mice are another matter. Mice you can always have problems with. So anyway, that's the situation here on the ground. Didn't make it to the third shelter like I'd hoped. I probably would have pushed on if it weren't for this rain. My feet are hurting. You know, it was rockier than I thought. If you're going to hike the AT, anyone who tells you that the rocks are over once you leave Pennsylvania is an outright liar, and you can tell them to their face. That's a lie. I don't even know how many miles into New Jersey now. 25, 30 miles. Tomorrow I'll be more than halfway through New Jersey. And there's rocks just like Pennsylvania. They may not last as long. They may not be as dense, although they are in some spots. But, I mean, if you didn't tell me I was in New Jersey, I'd think I was still in the tail end of Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm about to go to bed, but I wanted to show you how eerie it is here, because I'm by myself. So, how misty and foggy it is. Over here is the bear box right there. I put my whole pack in there, my food bag, pretty much everything that I don't need while I'm asleep. By the way, if you decide to go down this trail, you're going the wrong direction, because that is not the AT. So keep that in mind. But check out this shelter. Is it eerie or what? That looks like a bomb bunker or something. And I'm going to be in there by myself. You can't even see in there. It's so dark and misty. Holy cow. I hope nobody shows up after dark. That'll freak me out. I think people have chosen their campsite. So yeah, so I'm going to be in here. I'm going to turn my mattress going from side to side so that my head isn't right against the back where the mice can run around. My foot isn't like hanging off the bottom, so I'm going to sleep lengthwise, some side to side instead of from front to back. It just seems like a more logical way to do it. And I will store my clothes in my dynamic composite fabric bag because the mouse is not likely to chew through that for any reason. And I've already got my raincoat hanging up. I've got my poles right here. I'll probably put my poles next to my bed just because they're a good weapon in case a bear decides to pay me a visit, because there are 2 signs here about this being an active bear area. One there, and one over here on the table. Same sign on the table.